Always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot. When holding a gun, rest your finger on the trigger guard or along the side of the gun until you are actually ready to fire. Do not touch the trigger. Hi friends, this is FirearmPop, and this is another in my series of armed citizen stories. So, as always, the stories come right out of First Freedom Magazine. This is an NRA publication, and they are called Armed Citizen Stories. So, without further ado, we're going to get going here. Some interesting stories today. Charlie Blackmore was driving home around 4 a.m. when he spotted a woman being assaulted along the side of the road. A man had pushed her to the ground and was kicking her repeatedly in the head and the stomach. Blackmore stopped his car and ordered the man to stop the attack. The assailant then turned his attention to Blackmore and began approaching him. Thanks to Wisconsin's new concealed carry law, Blackmore was able to draw his pistol and hold the suspect at gunpoint until the police arrived. The woman was treated and appeared to have a broken nose and a large laceration about her face. And this was in West Allis, Wisconsin. Paul Old, 69, was at home baking around 9 a.m. when he heard more than a dozen bangs on his front door. By the time he made it to the door, a man had already forced his way inside. The man told Old that he needed help, so Old picked up his cell phone to call 911. The man grabbed the phone from Old and pushed him onto the sofa. He ordered Old to stay there where he was and tried to take his television. Old struggled with the man, but managed to get his .38 caliber handgun he kept in his bedroom. Old fired multiple rounds, killing the intruder. Old was taken to an area hospital where he was treated and released. And this was in Hickory, North Carolina. Lee Heng, 63, was asleep when two suspects allegedly scaled the wall and entered Heng's second-story apartment through a bathroom window. Heng woke of the sound of his 14-year-old son screaming. Realizing his son was in danger, Heng jumped out of bed and grabbed his gun. The armed intruders confronted Heng and a struggle ensued. Heng fired several shots which caused the men to flee. One suspect suffered fatal gunshot wounds, and the second suspect was reportedly still at large. It's believed that suspects were attempting to rob the jewelry store Heng's runs on the first floor of his home. And this was reported by The Blaze in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Irene Parker, 78, and Beverly Wright, 43, were volunteers walking door to door, ministering and distributing religious literature just before the Easter holiday. Parker visited one home where a woman answered the door. Before Parker was able to speak to the woman, a large dog lunged forward from inside. The screen door flew open and Parker landed on the yard. Parker could do nothing but try to protect her face as the dog tore at her flesh. Wright, who was just 2 doors down the street, ran toward Parker in an effort to help. Wright took a baseball bat from the dog's owner and swung it at the dog, but only caused the dog to turn its attention towards her. Wright screamed when the dog attacked. 2 blocks away, Mike Harrell could hear the desperate cries for help. Harrell kept a gun in his truck, so he drove to the residence and immediately took action. Harrell fired 1 shot, killing the dog. Parker and Wright suffered severe injuries, but after extensive surgeries, both women survived the attack. And this was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A woman was at home when she noticed a vehicle she did not recognize in her driveway. A man she did not know came to her door and began knocking and ringing the doorbell. The woman grabbed her handgun for protection because the man seemed suspicious. Before she could answer the door, the man allegedly kicked it in and entered the woman's home. Upon seeing the handgun pointed in his direction, the man fled. As he drove away, the woman took a photo of the vehicle with her cell phone. The photo later led the arrest to the man who had broken into her home. And this was in Maryville, Indiana. Phoebe Underwood, a 72-year-old. What is it this month with all the elderly people being attacked? 78 years old, 72 years old, 69 years old, 63 years old. Phoebe Underwood, a 72-year-old woman on oxygen, was home alone when she heard the front door rattle, saw a shadow on the front porch, and then heard a loud banging on her window. Underwood retrieved her gun she kept in her bedroom and returned to find a 26-year-old man who had broken the window and gained entry into her home. Underwood ordered the man to get out of her home and leave her alone. Instead, the man walked into another room, then walked back towards her. Underwood warned the man to stop, and when he didn't, she pulled the trigger. The gun misfired, so Underwood fired again and missed. The man got down on the floor to avoid being shot, where Underwood held him until police arrived. And this was in Youngstown, Ohio. So, once again, the elderly seem like they're the target of these idiots. I have no other word for them. It's nice to see and nice to hear that elderly people take a stand and use a handgun to protect themselves. So, I hope you enjoyed these stories as much as I did reading them to you. This is FirearmPop. Be safe out there, and God bless. Bye now.